I think that last season it was definitely an interesting transition because it was the first time that we had like a COVID year where we had more teammates and team members than we were planning on having, and we had 4 freshmen come in last year. So it was definitely a weird dynamic getting everybody used to one another, having so many people on the team because before that there were only like 6 or 7 girls. So I think getting into the run of things with that was definitely interesting, but we had a good run and we got used to each other and got into a good flow. And then this year we lost 3 key members of that dynamic. So I think honestly just being reacquainted with one another and welcoming in our 2 new freshmen this year was definitely an interesting change in the flow, but a good one at that. Um, First of all, it's an amazing experience to go to Vegas for a bowling competition. Vegas is just a very interesting place. I've gone to the Team USA trials a couple of times. I didn't do so well this year whenever I performed there, but I am coming off of an injury, so wasn't exactly set on being like top 10 or anything. Always have high hopes, but I always love being there and competing with the best of the best. So you get to see, okay, what am I doing wrong and what are the other people doing that are being more successful than I am? And you kind of learn when you made your wrong turns and wrong choices so that you can learn and be better next time. So yeah, it's honestly just getting reacquainted with the teammates again. We've been away from each other for a little bit, so having to come back, getting back in the routine of practice, collaborating with coach, working on some individual stuff, because it always seems like you're working on stuff with coach, and then whenever you have a long break where you aren't with him during like the winter break or whatever it may be, there's some things that falter, muscle memory comes back in, so just whipping those back up into shape and getting your stamina back up, getting ready, doing a little bit of like team bonding, hanging out, and just getting comfortable with one another and getting ready to compete again. We all did pretty well. It's honestly, we were just really together as a team and very focused on ourselves. That's kind of how we like to go about things whenever we go into a tournament and an event. Obviously, coach is a little bit worrying about how other teams are doing, and our parents typically track scores of like the other teams and everything. But us within ourselves, we try to stay together and not pay attention to other people. So that's whenever we have high sets like that and big strings, and usually if there's like a record set or broken, those are our days where we were very within ourselves, just focused on what we were doing. We're cheering for ourselves, not even paying attention if the other team got a strike that we're bowling against or a team 4 lanes down got one. So that's kind of our dynamic. Just focus within ourselves, do the best that we can. We're competing against ourselves, not everybody else in that very moment. So it's always tough whenever we hit a Sunday. That's a completely different mindset than the other 2 days. The other 2 days, you're just trying to get as high in the rankings as you possibly can to get into the bracket in the highest place you can for a shot at a championship. When we went into Sunday this past weekend, we weren't in a spot that we could make it to the championship match because we were starting in 6th. So the highest possible place we could get was, 3rd? So we lost our first match, which kind of sucks. But that, I think, was more of a motivation and a drive behind the performance the next 2 matches. We were like, okay, well, we might not be able to get 3rd anymore, but we can get 5th. So let's beat whoever the 7th place seed was that we had to face then, get back up to the 5-6 match, and then win that one. And it's always tough whenever you're in those head-to-heads because you're constantly trying not to worry about what the other team's doing, but exactly like every frame, every ball that team's throwing completely like determines what you have to do next to win. So it's definitely really hard to focus, but I think we did a good job of focusing down. There were definitely a couple times where we were 3-3 in the matches or 0-3, and we were like, okay guys, let's go, let's get this together, we got this, we know that we can do it, so let's show them. And then we did it. So. I think more than anything, I'm super excited. It's definitely a little like anxiety, like, oh, we did so well last time, let's do it again. Like me personally, I know like I bowled that really high game, so there's a little bit of like I wonder if people are expecting I'll do it again. But it's definitely a lot more excitement than anything. Whenever I feel like nervous, I try to just think of it as excitement instead of anxiety. So I'm super excited for that. I know the team is super excited. Last year I did do pretty well there, bowling that really high game, and honestly just keeping up with my equipment, making sure my equipment is in line. And I've been doing a lot of work with coach, so hopefully that will all take into place, and whenever we hit the lanes in Dallas, everything will just fall where it may.